All the world loves to laugh, but what does it laugh at? A laugh without context is meaningless. However, when considered against the background of the film and culture, a laugh is more honest than any words can be.
Well, that's not so bad. Oh, God! Oh, God! Oh.
The laugh relaxes the audience, lowering their defenses and making them receptive to the truth, sometimes harsh, that the film wishes to tell. The United States.
Because guess what I get tons of? Pussy! Oh my God.
And Italy. Though countries of very different sizes with very different societies have strong comedy film industries. For example, Italy's Totò in the 50s and America's Dick Van Dyke in the 60s. Comedies fill cinemas in both countries, but the way that filmmakers approach and use comedy is quite different. The United States tends to use humor in a more lighthearted manner, poking fun at society and obviously politics. Italy does the same, but gives the critique a sharper edge that intends to cut. The uses of comedy in the USA and Italy reflect culture and politics. However, comedy also reflects a desire to confront and to escape the current moment.
Oh my God!
Bring it in,
Oh
big
my
boy!
God!
Oh
my God!
What the heck just
The
happened?
real Slim Shady just stood up.
Oh.
That's what the fuck just happened.
Sigmund Freud theorized the use of humor in modern society, stating that jokes permitted the expression of thoughts in situations that society usually forbade. Freud believed that humor provided a sort of safety valve on the pressure cooker of society. Humor thus permitted a safe way to vent tension and to avoid an explosion.
Boom, boom, boom! Oh, shit! Fuck you, tree!
Humor does not only provide comic relief to the stresses of daily life and society, but it also permits the exploration of difficult social issues. Since 2008, the world has faced the challenges of economic uncertainty and political paralysis. This has resulted in massive stress when it comes to jobs, security, and social stability itself. The films that I am examining all take inspiration from these current stresses. The Interview, The Boss, Quo Vado, and the Benvenuti al Sud and Benvenuti al Nord films. For example, the plot of Quo Vado takes as its main conflict the ongoing effort of Checco Zalone to find a posto fisso. A posto fisso is a public job virtually guaranteed for life in Italy. Checco's search is not the American dream. He is not seeking a high-powered career allowing him to live a life of luxury. He only aims to secure stability in his life. The irony of Checco's obsession is that he seeks very little. The salary of a public employee in Italy is not high, and the work is often boring. The posto fisso, common 50 years ago, is now very rare as governments cut positions and try to save money. The film expresses this reality as well as the fact that the posto fisso remains an unrealizable dream for many, many Italians. These considerations reflect the difficult world economic situation, particularly in Italy, where unemployment is high and jobs are insecure and low-paying.
Perché non torni in Africa?
For Checco, even the idea of a position that is boring and pays less than $1,500 a month is a dream. The New York Times columnist Beppe Severnini noted in 2016 that the region of Umbria expects 32,000 people from across the country to apply for the 94 clerical jobs it will soon open in its local government offices. Quo Vado, in itself, is a sharp criticism of society. The film also explores the reality of public life in Italy, which is in many ways paralyzed by bureaucracy and inaction.
Rio Nero del Vulture.
È la più vicina. E naturalmente poi noi la seguiremo in un percorso di reinserimento.
Checco is opposed by a public official who holds a personal dislike for him and makes it her objective to prevent his promotion.
Ma non c'è una maniera per restare qui, dottoressa?
Una sola. Mi firma queste dimissioni e in tasca questo assegno, 60.000 euro.
At the end of the film, however, Keiko short-circuits the compromised dream of a posto fisso and goes to Africa to work in a local village and conduct research with his partner. Quavado uses stereotypes to express humor and develop character. For example, Keiko's nemesis is the classic government bureaucrat, a stickler obsessed with her own promotion. Keiko, on the other hand, initially enters the film as the classic Italian layabout, who works very little and doesn't leave home. These characters do not remain static. They develop to become better and more aware versions of themselves, somewhat of a hopeful social message. The American dream, however, remains alive and well in the 2016 film, The Boss.
Listen, Jailbird. You think because you used to be someone that the rules don't apply to you and your pathetic band of rejects? Well, you're wrong, bitch.
Oh, Helen. Well, you got a case of the old trench mouth.
Michelle Darnell, a successful businesswoman, is jailed for insider trading. Upon release, she connects with her former secretary and they partner to open a brownie bakery. As the business expands, the soundtrack plays I Want Money in the background. Notwithstanding the economic crisis, the film celebrates cutthroat American business culture and risk-taking to get rich quick. The concept of cash in, cash out without regard to individuals appears when Michelle sells the business out from under her partner. Her only motivation here is to cash out.
You are such a cliche, okay? You're getting close to people, so now you have to push them away.
The treatment of this situation is very different from Quavado. Michelle is not portrayed as heartless or even an example to be avoided. In the end, Michelle is rewarded when she makes a new deal to refound the bakery. The Boss also employs high-budget special effects and scenes. These special effects do not necessarily contribute to the plot in any way. They are simply present to entertain and to thrill the audience. Italian comedies don't necessarily use special effects to make one laugh. American comedies do not attempt social criticism that is intended to change society or to even trigger a conversation. It can be argued that films such as The Boss tend to reinforce inequality and social crisis in America. The Boss utilizes a scene to glorify Michelle, who gives a corporate speech at the United Center in Chicago. The event includes pyrotechnics, a choreographed dance, and a wildly cheering crowd. It can also be argued that the use of humor in American cinema does not seek to resolve problems on screen, but only to invite the audience to accept them with a laugh. This contrasts with the social function of the Italian films.
It's comfortable here!
An Italian film franchise composed of two films, Benvenuti al Sud and Benvenuti al Nord, uses stereotypes as well as differences of class and education in order to explore problems in Italian business and society. Both films focus on Italians displaced from their homes to areas of the country that are different from what they know. These differences are humorous and stereotypical, playing on the traditional north-south divide that is fairly common in Italy. They do serve, however, to point out how these divisions continue to trouble Italy and Italian society. The films employ character development and humorous interactions in order to foster understanding between northern and southern Italians.
Ciolino, valdostano, shakerato, con ginseng, corretto grappa. Io ti consiglio il Kafka, la sua specialità. Un po' più di un caffè macchiato, un po' meno di un cappuccio. Un bicchiere d'acqua.
Education and class are also used to express aspects of Italian society. Alberto Colombo is a middle-class manager, while Mattia Volpe is a working-class employee. In each film, a northerner or southerner must come to terms with a painful move. Initially, they speak about and express their longing for their home in a stereotypical and much exaggerated way.
Senta, ma mi voglio salvare. Ma voglio tornare a Castellabate. E mi licenzio.
Eventually, however, the characters come to accept and even appreciate their new homes and situations.
I love Milano! I love Milano!
The Benvenuti films use cinematographic techniques typical of Italian film, which tend to use straightforward live-action shots with sets typical of life in the country. These techniques emphasize the relatability of the film. Film scholar Ilaria De Pascalis notes that Italian films rely on the relationship between the scenery and the placement of the protagonists in a setting with which they have a relationship. This link between people and place illustrates the socio-political role of the Italian films. The Benvenuti films address political issues such as diverse economic situations within Italy, as well as internal migration and racism.
Vedete, il primo segno che è una mozzarella di qualità è quando, come dicono loro, cacciolat. Com'è, Presidente?
Cacciolat.
No, senza la E, cacciolat.
Cacciolat.
Attenzione. Prendete, assaggiatene. Non ve ne pentirete.
The film suggests that personal connections and a lighthearted approach to identity may be useful in resolving these political and social difficulties. The American film, The Interview, examines the political issue of North Korea. The Interview boasted a big budget and spectacular special effects, typical for an American comedy action film. The outrageous humor may be intended to vent the existential stress regarding weapons that are capable of destroying life as we know it.
Oh no. Hey! You're lazy! What's this mean?
You're dead.
The CIA contracts a famous interviewer, Dave Skylark, to carry a deadly poison to North Korea and to kill Kim Jong-un during an interview. The film also uses stereotypes heavily, highlighting the differences between Skylark and Kim. Interestingly, the use of these stereotypes serves to show both men as extreme characters. This is an indication why the USA and North Korea may be unable to communicate with one another. The film references the destructive, chaotic potential of the conflict with special effects of military conflict and explosions. The film could in some ways be seen as a death wish. This can be seen as a comment on the current dark state of affairs and need to try a different tactic. At the conclusion of the film, Kim is in fact killed, and Skylark escapes back to the USA and writes a best-selling book about his experience in North Korea. In the film, democracy is supposed to come to North Korea, along with capitalism and social media. The Sky brand is prominently displayed, while Skylark's producer and Suk are having a video call. In the face of the existential threat of nuclear conflict, the interview chooses to make the audience laugh, but does not shed much light on the reality of the situation.
거짓말하잖아요. 노래 좋아하는 거 뻔한데.
그렇지!
Italian and American films both use comedy to consider political, economic, and social issues. The way in which they do so is quite different, however. While Italian comedies provide a thoughtful critique, American comedies tend to emphasize entertainment rather than exploring the actual issues at hand. Italian comedies rely on straightforward storytelling, with writing that provokes reflection and conversation. American comedies, by contrast, use high-budget special effects to distract the audience and to confirm the existing socioeconomic situation. American audiences expect this as a part of a lifestyle that emphasizes visible and material success. These techniques illustrate uses of humor, which serve to engage conversation or simply to relieve the stress of a situation. Ultimately, these films express different worldviews and different styles of entertainment. Audiences may use them to continue their own conversations about art, as well as the life that it seeks to represent.
That led a man, once revered as a god among mortals, to cry and shit his pants. The end.